This is Gwen Talks Radio, where intimate conversations reveal, heal, inspire, and entertain. And now, here's your host, Tess Cacciatore.
Okay, here we go. You're listening to Gwen Talks Radio, and I'm your host, Tess Cacciatore. So today is November 1st, which means we have been at this for a month now. I'm really thrilled that we are on episode 4, and we are calling this episode Blueprint for many reasons, which you'll hear about in a moment. So October was about bringing awareness on a few different very important topics: domestic violence, anti-bullying, breast cancer awareness month. We had many guests who shared their stories, which is in line with our theme of reveal and heal. So I encourage you to go back and listen to the archives if you haven't heard those previous shows yet. One topic that was in October that I didn't want to be overshadowed is a very important topic to me, which is Down syndrome. Our charity spotlight for this episode is Gigi's Playhouse, which is a wonderful organization that has 33 playhouses across the nation, but this particular one that I know of is Gigi's Playhouse NYC, which is New York City, of course. A big prayer goes out to everybody in New York City for the tragedy that happened in Tribeca. So it seems like every day we're praying for someone or something, or tragedy, national disasters, natural disasters, all kinds of things. So every day we get to put on the prayer line 24/7, it seems like these days. Back to Gigi's Playhouse. They are an incredible organization, and they are now celebrating 365 days of gratitude as part of Generation G. And Generation G is all about helping people every day. People who are committing to Generation G are taking actions to be better, be accepting, be generous, be kind. I don't know how many times a day I think, be kind. I tell people in my life, be kind. I think Ellen DeGeneres uses that as her tagline, and I love it because what is the effort of being kind to people? So if you want to check out Gigi's Playhouse, go to Facebook, and it's hashtag GGPHNYC. So Gigi's Playhouse NYC, GGPHNYC, to learn more about Gigi's Playhouse. Okay, so today's episode is all about the blueprint. What is the blueprint that you've been given? What was programmed from an early age? I work with a lot of youth around the world in our workshops, and I always talk about that blueprint. So what are the words and the phrases that you were taught and embedded in your brain when you were younger? Are you too lazy, fat, too dumb, bad boy, bad girl? What is programmed into our subconscious, and how does that affect us? How does that get us to repeat that pattern and believe in that pattern? So today we're going to talk about how to break the blueprint and set up a new program in our minds, bringing in better relationships for love, business, friends. We teach each other how we want to be treated, how we mirror what lessons we need to learn, how we can move past our past and forgive. So we're going to be talking to several powerful women today. And I named this episode Blueprint because a dear sister friend of mine, Terrah Bennett Smith, who is the guest host for today, but she's also my co-host on Gwen Talks TV, which will be coming up on the Gwen.live platform soon. We're getting in post-production right now for 2 seasons of wonderful talk show that will take us off the radio platform and right into the video world. So Terrah has a beautiful book that's coming out that we'll talk about, and her film, a short film that is called Blueprint. So I said, I'm going to name the episode Blueprint because it's such an important topic. It's a way that we can actually improve our lives. We'll be also talking to Linda Logan and Chef Babette, which I have to kind of point out the magic of what happens on this show is that it just seems like we don't plan these things, but it happens to be today is November 1st, National Vegan Day. And we have Chef Babette on the show. She is an amazing vegan chef. And, you know, I don't have any judgment about what people do because they're responsible for what they put into their bodies, but it's really stressed in our media today, especially what Fran Drescher was saying is that I can't pick up a strawberry now without thinking it being a sponge of pesticides. So I scrub, wash, and triple wash the strawberries. And you think about things that we're putting into our body. I'm not saying that everyone has to be vegan because I'd be a hypocrite if I was to say that. But let's say we choose one day a month or one day a week or one meal a day. If everybody did that, the impact on the environment with the cattle and the ozone and the implications of all the things that are out there that if you watch those documentaries, the animal treatment is really important. I could go on for days and days about this topic, but I just wanted to shout out to Chef Babette and the wonderful food that she creates and a shout out to National Vegan Day. So right off the break, we're going to bring on Terrah Bennett Smith and we're going to get talking about the blueprint, how we break that blueprint. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm David Longoria. My new song, Playground, features the talented and lovely Miss Dallas Lovato singing along with me and, of course, my trumpet. Playground is heating up dance floors across America now. Check it out. If you're on Spotify, follow me and my fun playlist, David's Playground. During this entire month, we are donating the profits from Playground to the charity We Are One, lifting kids and helping victims traumatized in Las Vegas, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Texas, and Florida. Let's do some good in our world as we dance to the music. Remember, that's Playground, David Longoria featuring Dallas Lovato. Not just for kids. Playground is available now on iTunes, Amazon, and wherever you love to get your music.
Welcome back to Gwen Talks Radio. This is Tess Cacciatore, and I'm your host. And I wanted to thank all of our sponsors that are part of this show. And if you want to be a part of a sponsor or an advertiser opportunity, please contact us behind the scenes. I am so out of breath right now because I'm excited. I feel like my sister is back in the flow with me. Terrah Bennett Smith has been the co-host of Gwen Talks, the TV show, since the very beginning. And not only is that show coming back on the platform or coming on the platform, but we're getting ready to do some new seasons as well. So this is like old home week for me, and I'm excited. Terrah, are you there?
I'm there, and it's all home for me. Yeah, I'm doing what you said. Old home for me week too.
I'm glad that we can all say the old home week. That's a little tongue twister there. Because I've had so much fun with you over the years. I just wanted to acknowledge you personally, but to the world, I want to announce how special you've been to me through this whole journey of Gwen, because believe me, I've been in the cave, I've been under the rocks, I've been in the ocean, I've been in a tree, and you've always been there next to me, singing along the path. And that's what true friendship is. That's what true meaning of women supporting women in the community. And that's what I love about you. And that's what I love about being part of Gwen and having you here with me today.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to, and congratulations on the radio show, and on everything you're doing. It's not an easy feat to take on the challenges, take on the level of what you're doing with all the crazy challenges that come with it. But you know what? Perseverance, and you're doing it. And so congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you. I take that in with love. And speaking about doing it, we've been, side by side on the road, looking over, going, okay, come on, Terrah. Okay, come on, Tess, and cheering each other on. And I'm cheering you on. I can't wait to see your short film, which we're going to be talking about today, called Blueprint, which I'm naming this episode Blueprint just for you. But I want to start off talking about your book. I'm so excited about connecting the dots. Why don't you talk about it with me and share it with our listeners?
Well, I was inspired to write this 5 years ago or so, and I think I wrote a few paragraphs, and then it just stayed there, just stayed kind of sitting on the computer, as many people, as many of us have done. We start writing, and then life sets in, and the book sits over there, and you go over there and do life. primarily this was a book that was really based on me paying attention to my own journey and seeing how one thing led to the next, led to the next, led to the next, led to the next. And it was very interesting. I especially noticed how it was connecting when I looked at my relationships, because the relationships, when I paid attention to what I did wrong and really became not accusing the other person or blaming the other person or anything like that, really taking full responsibility for my portion and my participation in it, that's when I was ready and able to shift, myself and move myself from point A to maybe point A plus, and then point A plus plus. So I kept making these small little steps. And then I look back and go, wow, this relationship I'm in now is much better than the last relationship. Now I'm talking right now based on personal, like guy-girl relationships, because that's where I had a lot of issues, as many of us do, was that, coming from an abusive home where my mother was abused, but I was part of trying to protect her at a young age, around 4 years old. That's when it started for me. I didn't understand that I was cementing habits and cementing beliefs and cementing, a craving for a particular style of relationship. It took until I was really in my first abusive relationship that I started to see how the dots connected. As a young kid, I used to daydream and fantasize, where most people would, young girls fantasize about the guy, the white knight in shining armor, picking them up on a beautiful horse or horse and buggy and carry them off into the sunset. My stories, my fantasies were about, we'd live together, we'd fight, and then we'd make up. And then, the next time it just became what I daydreamed about. It wasn't even something I would forcefully go look for. It's like my body craved this behavior that I knew as a young kid. So I didn't realize that I was recreating this, and I was cementing this even more every night that I sat there and daydreamed about it. I could even remember to this moment how I used to see how I could still see where we used to live, me and this fictitious person. I see the place. It was a 2-story apartment. And, the first relationship I was in where I lived with a person was a 2-story apartment. And what was even more strange about it, when I started to go, wow, this is beyond just me, pretending or thinking I thought this, where I looked so much like my mother, and this person resembled my father. So it was whatever I had manifested, whatever I had created, I did it to the utmost, that this universe, this energy went out and brought me back exactly what it was I was craving all those years. And then I had to live through that. It wouldn't be long for me, because somehow I think I had begun so much self-work prior to that this was a necessary step in order for me to move beyond it. So I started to listen right before all of this happened. I was listening to Louise Hay, self-discovery. I was all into the self-growth. And then I was met with this challenge. And I knew, even though it was confusing to me, because if anyone who knows me knows I was this kind of tough chick and, me in an abusive relationship, but it wasn't even about being in an abusive relationship. It was about breaking a pattern in myself. So the person, came to me really for that reason, was for me to grow and move beyond it. And what I started to notice after that person, that, the relationships continued, but the abuse was less. Then it went to verbal abuse. Then it went to, and then each time I said no to it, I was able to move beyond it. And so when I looked back at that, I can see how the dots connected from a young girl all the way up to my adulthood, until I finally made sense of it. And I no longer chose to have that in my, as part of my pattern, as part of my blueprint. What I did not realize until I was writing the book was how many other areas of relationships I had the same issue with. That I would look for situations where, whether it had to do with me or not, I would infuse myself and to the point of where there'd be an argument or something that had nothing to do with me, but I felt like I had to protect someone. I had to jump in the middle of it. And I did that a lot as an adult, but had no idea that it was tied to the same thing, because it doesn't know of relationships. It just knows of the craving. It knows of the desire. So it could be your brother, sister. It could be your boss. It could be a mate. It could be anyone. And that's what I started to find, that my patterns were not about the guy that I was dating. It was about the craving to be in combative situations, whether it was physically, verbally, or emotionally.
And so everything comes from us. And that's the conversations that I love having when you and I have to dive into that cave and talk me off the ledge or talk through something, is that whole thing. Like, what did you do to bring this into you? And not to say, not to add to the blame and shame of the whole conversation of the abuse cycle, but about just taking responsibility of what are we doing that brings that negative flow or the positive, whether you're fantasizing about the knight in shining armor or you're fantasizing about getting an apartment with somebody and arguing all the time. They're both powerful thoughts. And we talk about that manifestation and positive thinking and the power of thoughts a lot on the show. So I want to find out about, because that explains the arc of your book. Tell us a little bit about the book. Do you have tips at the end of chapters or something like that that maybe you can share with our listeners, and then we can talk about where you're going to distribute it?
Well, right now, how the book is written, it has exercises along the way, where I kind of tell my story in a third person way, and then I give you an opportunity throughout to have your aha moments. Oh, yes, I remember when I was this age, blah, 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 and write those things down. And so as you're going along, you're starting to connect your own dots. And then at the very end, you get to detox and then recreate a script. Rewrite your script of a life that how you would love to have it. I also talk in the book, so many times we are on that trajectory to make the change, but there's so much chatter in our head that talks us away, that tries to pull us away from that step. Oh, well, I can never have that. Oh, well, I can't really go for that. So really the way it's done, or the way I did it, and hopefully it helps someone in that way, is that you really can't move forward until you keep going back to not even reprogramming. I like to call it replacing that chatter, or till you get to the place where you're comfortable enough to replace the chatter. Because some people say, I'm fine with it now, but they haven't done whatever's necessary to move beyond that place, because you can't really rewrite a successful script about where you're headed if you have not made some sense of the naysayers in your own head. Because then the script is a moot point. It's like I'm writing this thing, but I don't really believe it. Because what I really believe is that I can't have this, or I'm not capable of having that. So that's there's a lot of wonderful exercises in the book. And, I think one of the things that I always tell people, and I tell my children as well, because when you have patterns, they come so often, you feel like any work that you're doing is not, you're not benefiting from it in any way, because you keep having to go back and do it again and again and again. And what I tell people, you just keep replacing, because eventually, I say it's kind of like playing tennis. You're going to hit the ball and you're going to get tired of hitting, a ball and nobody's hitting it back. So you will start to reprogram, in a sense. You'll start to make the change. And you don't see it. It's kind of like even with working out physically. Like when I work out my body, I just started this workout regimen and I had gained weight because you're building muscle, and you don't realize that your body's taking on a whole new shape until you slow down. Now I slowed down my exercise because I've been so busy that I just dropped like 5 pounds. I didn't even realize. I'm like, wow, But it's the same thing. You're working those muscles, and then one day you look on the other side and you've crossed over. So it's always replacing those thoughts. You cannot stop replacing the thoughts. You cannot let it go. Well, what's the point? I thought it and I did it 3 times and it didn't work. Well, it's not going to work because it took more than 3 times for it to manifest itself. The other thing I do want to touch upon, and I'm going to have when we come back from a break, I'm going to touch upon this more, because a lot of people will say things like, oh, so what about, people who lost a family member? Did they bring that on themselves? Or what about, someone who was attacked in a garage? I'm not talking about an abusive relationship per se. I'm talking about somebody who was walking down the street and then they were attacked or abused, or, those are things. And you know what? I don't even have the answers for that, but Linda Logan might have better answers for, because really my book is not about making it make sense, everyone's situations of abuse to make it sense for them. I'm just telling you what made sense for me and how I was able to remove myself and make the shift in my life from just paying attention to my life and accepting responsibilities for my life. Now, the other stuff, I have a theory, but I wouldn't be able to explain it well enough. But so I will leave that to someone who could do that. So, but that's the one thing people always say to me. Well, what about a little child, who has abusive parents? They didn't ask for that, and no, they didn't. Maybe, there's a lot that goes on in the womb that we're not even thinking about. When your mom's carrying you. It's no different than what I experienced as a child, than what you're experiencing in the womb. It depends on where that person is, because that person is getting is dealing with chemical energies too. And that chemical energy is going into the unborn. So Absolutely. There's just so much, there's so much on the subject matter that I can't wait for Dr.
I know. We could talk for like 3 hours and more, and 3 weeks and more. And hopefully down the road, we're going to have some information for workshops, and definitely what you and Chef Babette and Dr. Linda Logan, who are our guests today, to do part of our master class online. So we can really dive deep into all these topics, because they're really important to be able to know how to break those the patterns, how to stop the negative chatter, how to change and reshape and redo the blueprint that we get from the womb. So those are all really important. We need to go to a break, but I want really quickly before you go, because I know we're here talking about your book, but you have so many wonderful things. You have a short film that's coming out called Blueprint. So tell me and the listeners a little bit about that, and then we're going to take a break so we can get Dr. Linda Logan on.
Well, primarily it is, it's kind of based on the book loosely. My story is told, but it's told through another character who I don't want to give it away. However, she is a person who's dealing with the chemical issues, and she does some very interesting things. And the things that she's doing in the movie are things I thought about. Knowing I could never do it, but it was really things I thought about and I wanted to do to my father because of all the pain I was in. So I wrote it out, and actually with a character, it was a scene that I was doing in an acting class, and then it turned into the short film. So it's really about how these different people have found their ways into each other's lives based on the different forms of abuse that they have felt. It's kind of a little bit of a suspense, drama, and that's going to be screened on November 4th at the Pembroke Tapparelli Film Festival at the Lemley.
Yes.
No, because there's no L. Lemley. It's Laemme. So anyway, that's where it's going to be. So
perfect. And I'm going to be there for that opening. And obviously, once it screens and you're ready to go, it will be up on the Gwen.live platform. So you'll be able to see that and how it's going to be inspired to even bigger and better and more. I just want to take this chance to do our charity spotlight, because Terrah's choice of the charity spotlight is nomore.org, where together we can end domestic violence and sexual assault. And I'm just really thrilled to watch the progress in your life, and I can't wait to read the book and see the film on the screening, which is just a few short days away, because today's November 1st, so we have 3 days away for your big premiere. I'm so excited. And after this break, Terrah's going to do a big introduction for Dr. Linda Logan, who I've had the pleasure to be in her presence. And wow, oh wow, get ready, buckle in, enjoy the break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Fran Drescher, and I'm on Gwen Talk Radio. And I hope you go to cancerschmanza.org and learn how you can reduce your risk of cancer and a lot of other illnesses for you and your family. Go now and save your lives.
The Life Changes Show is a premier radio show presented by the Life Changes Network, which is a company whose team has dedicated their lives not only to positive change, but to helping others observe and embrace, honor, and even celebrate their own changes, thus enabling a more positive, inspired life and helping to create a more positive and inspired world. From everyday people, celebrities, corporate giants, and children, we are here to help and to serve. With heart, integrity, and experience, we bring our message and positive intent into your lives through the Life Changes Show, lifechangesnetwork.com, and through guest appearances on other inspiring shows and events. If you wish to learn more about Life Changes Life Coaching, a private consultation with one of us, corporate or live event appearances, or if you would like us to appear on your radio or TV shows, please email us at info@lifechangesnetwork.com.
Okay, welcome back here at Gwen Talks Radio. This is your host, Tess Cacciatore, and co-host, Terrah Bennett Smith. I always have to sing her name. That's why, because she always sings with me. And she has such a beautiful voice, multi-talented, quadruple, deluple threat.
Trip? I'm a triple trip threat.
You're a triple trip threat. It's just been so amazing to unravel this conversation. And I'm going to let you do the honors of introducing Linda Logan because you've known her for years. I just want to mention mentorship and friendship and how important that is for us women in the world, really finding someone that you can mentor and being there for one another. So Terrah, why don't you introduce Linda and then we'll dive deeper into this next level of conversation.
Okay. Linda Logan has been, when I first moved out to LA in 1987, I went to a Louise Hay workshop for women. And Linda was the facilitator there. And it was one of the beginnings of a beautiful, beautiful, obviously, years of a relationship. We call her Dr. Linda Logan. She's a doctor in divinity. So I met her. She was also one of the leaders at a City of Angels church, which I used to attend with Dr. O.C. Smith. Rest in peace, Mr. O.C. Smith, Little Green Apples. I know everybody knows that song. Anyway, so I call her doctor because she has been a doctor in my life. She's also a doctor in divinity. And she knows about this stuff with the brain and how it works. That's her teachings and her support was the reason I was able to move through these steps, because having someone who gets it beyond just writing a positive affirmations and putting them on your wall helps you to move quicker, because you got to, and she's one of those people that will make you own up. She doesn't sugarfoot things. She say, you know what, look at yourself. You know what, look at yourself. You know what, look at yourself.
And I think I've heard you say that to me a few times. Thank you from Linda through you to me. And I'm like, oh, dang, I got to look at myself again. That's hard. We have to take responsibility for ourselves.
So anyway, I just wanted to welcome Dr. Linda Logan, and let's start some chatting.
Well, thank you. You know, this is my very, very favorite subject. And I was listening to some of what you said before, and it's really interesting to watch the progress that you've made and the fact that you've taken responsibility for your life. And that's what the main thing is with all of this, is to take responsibility for what happens. You get tired of blaming other people where you're the main person that's always there, within it. So we have to learn how to look at ourselves and wonder, okay, how am I producing this? How am I doing this? But you have to take responsibility for the fact that you are No blame.
Can I
Not
just
a blame
shift in
game.
there just really quickly, because we're having such a big conversation about the shame and blame and women in the industry across all boundaries of countries and villages that have that abusive relationship in their life. And we have to come to the get through the shame and blame to forgive ourselves to be in those relationships. Can you dive in and tell us, posting the Post-it notes on the wall saying you're beautiful and all that stuff is really great, but how do we get more to the brass nuts of what you teach and what you put out to the world?
One of the things with all of it, racial things and everything, you have to realize that you've been told certain things about yourself. Women have been told that they're weak and can't take care of themselves, and that they need a man to be there for them. And in order to have a man, you have to take all the guff that the man's going to give you. So the first thing to do is to become honest with yourself and realize you are not that weak little thing, and stop believing the lie. And you live it every day in the strength that you show in raising children and parent, parenting, I just said that, but being in the world and earning a living and all of those things, you are not weak. So it's time to start looking at your own strength and believing in them. And writing things on the walls and all of that may lock in a certain way of thinking, but it has to be beyond that. You have to, first of all, begin, one of the first things I learned was loving yourself, that you have to love yourself 100%. And you have to love yourself with all pimples and all. And so you begin to look at yourself more deeply, because what we do is we don't look at ourselves. Again, sort of talking about it, we blame someone else immediately. We blame somebody else. When what I know about what the brain does, you begin to understand that the only thing you see in the world is what you believe, because the brain has stored it in memories and in every sense that you have, in your sight and your smell and your smelling sense, your hearing, and everything gets triggered in there. So within you is this mechanism that has created this personality that blames everybody for everything rather than looking within. You'll never win. You'll never be able to do anything if you don't stop and say, okay, what is this really about? And the question that you ask, and it makes people really angry sometimes, is why would I do this? So what you have to then go back to, I do this because this is the information that I have been given and I have believed it.
So that works with the cycles of abuse, that if you witnessed it, like I have, like Terrah has, like most of us have, that we bring it into our lives, it's because we've created that pattern. So how do we break those patterns?
By, first of all, talking about it, by being honest about it. That's what's happening with these women who are coming out about all this abuse. You begin to look at it and realize, well, I'm not alone in this, for one thing. And you realize, when you study the brain, you realize that you've locked in certain things and have decided, this is the way I'm going to be in the world. Once you do that, then the world will show you exactly what you're believing. So it's time then to look at what's going on. You look at it, and then you make a decision about how you would prefer that it be. Then you decide you have to look for models of people who are living the way you would like to live. And you begin to sort of emulate them. I'm not saying become them, but I am saying that you look at it and say, oh, there is another way to be. There's another way to live. And then you begin the work of seeing yourself in a different way. You begin to, oh golly. Okay, all I'm going to say is you're creating new neural connections. Once you've seen it, once you've seen the way that you go and you fall down the hole, and then you do it again, but then the third time, fourth time, you don't do it again. You go another way. So the honesty of looking at your situation is the big thing. I'm not happy. I don't like it like this, and I'm ready to make a change. When you do that, you've actually signaled your brain to begin to look for different circumstances. Again, when you understand the mechanism of the brain and understand that it only does, it does exactly what you want it to do.
That brain chemistry thing is so amazing to me ever since Terrah started talking about that. Terrah, what was that you were talking about? Because it relates back to how Linda can answer it, because I've been intrigued by this. It's like we get addicted to the chemical. Talk about that and swing it back to Linda, because this is what I was chomping at the bit to find out about.
Well, I know for me, what I remember happening back then when I was going through all of this was my body chemically, I could feel something was happening. I didn't understand what it was associated with, but I could tell that I would get this kind of surge, almost like a heat. You know how when you're driving in a car and all of a sudden you have to brake and then you get this kind of surge or this taste or something that happens because you're thrust
like
into
an
this scary thing.
Like adrenaline rush or something?
Exactly. And I would get these and I would know, somewhere in the back of my mind knew that, oh my God, something is about to happen. Because what started to happen was whenever I had one of those, what I call chemical rushes, shortly after that, I was in some type of situation I wasn't welcome. I didn't welcome. I didn't understand all the pieces. I didn't know that there was a chemical thing that went along with thought. Because when I think of thought now, it's so strong because I've done it so long that I can feel it and then it creates. So it really became clear that there was a chemical response that went along with what I was believing. And when I had to learn to control that as well. So Linda, you can take that and run with it.
You become emotional junkie. Once those.
That's what it was, an emotional junkie. That's what it is. Go there.
You become an emotional junkie, just like you would on the street. If you get enough of a shock of something, like when a person goes on, name a drug. I can't think of a drug. But,
I don't know that world either. So.
I don't even want to know that world. But anyway, I know the world because I've been around people with it. But when it happens enough, a trigger happens, and it's the same thing as a chemical. It's the same thing as heroin. The same thing as cocaine. Once it hits you, you're out of control. And you're like a junkie. You'll go down any alley. You'll go anywhere to find that fix.
So if you're in an abusive relationship, with, let's say, your partner, your spouse or whatever, and you said, this isn't healthy anymore, I'm going to break away, but you haven't done the work to figure out how to break that chemical dependency, you'll recreate that drama within your girlfriends, your boyfriends, your workmates, your whatever. Is that kind of what happens?
That's what
because you're addicted to it?
What will happen is you'll go out and find somebody else. You'll find another pusher. You'll find somebody else who will fill that gap for you. So that's why it takes so much to be honest. You need someone, Terrah and I have helped each other through things and have talked about things. And when you can finally find that person, you talk about mentorship. Mentorship is deep because when you finally find someone you can trust enough in your own mind to be honest with, that's when the progress begins. So it is like being a junkie. It's like, who can I find to abuse me next? Now, you're not saying that out loud, and you're not even saying it in a whisper, but that thing is shouting in you. We have to do what we've always done. We have to do what we've done. Go find someone. Ego likes to keep things the same. That's what ego does. Mm. It keeps the situation just like it's always been. So you have to really fight that part of yourself. But it's simply a habit. I'm telling you, you're a junkie. You're a junkie. So
so we need to go to emotional rehab.
You really
go ahead,
do.
Terrah.
And that's your...
No, I was saying, and that's one thing I've learned. I learned about me was that it really is about saying no to that behavior in myself so that I didn't keep attracting those kind of people. And as well, one of the things I used to tell, and I tell my kids, I say, If you show up, if you continue to show up and you're the only common denominator, then you can't be looking for all these other people to change because they don't know each other. So if you go from this relationship to that relationship to that relationship and you're back in abusive situations, then you are the common denominator. And that person can be as well for themselves because we have a tendency to say, oh, it's them. But technically, it's them for them and it's you for you. So you can fix them all you want, or you can want them to be fixed. If you don't fix yourself, you want to just go find some, because if that person fixed themselves, they're not even going to be attracted to you anymore. So now they're going to move on, and you're going to go and look for someone else to replace them. Mm-hmm. And so the key starts with fixing the self first, and then that person either dissipates, and this is what I've learned. I call it the equally yoked syndrome, where we move along the ladder the same. Like we were attracted to each other. Okay, we like to argue, we like to fight. We that's our adrenaline thing. Then eventually, when one person gets tired and they start working on themselves, when you turn to look at each other, this other person is elevated. You no longer see eye to eye. So you can't even be there anymore. It's like you cannot be there. So either you leave or they leave because they're not getting their adrenaline. They're not getting fed anything. And that's what I started to look at in my relationships, going, okay, you're done. Okay, I move beyond that. I move beyond that. I move beyond that. And if the person isn't working along with you, then you will outgrow them. You will emotionally outgrow them, and you can't work together anymore. We are on the plane of people. We're on the plane with the people that we're on the plane with this because where we believe we're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But when we stop that, we're no longer on the plane with them. We're on the level of other folks who are doing on another vortex of people. So
you have to know that only equals meet each other. And when you realize that this person who's in front of you apparently has a part of you that is going to answer to you. When I first came in this work, one of the first phrases I heard when I first went to a Louise Hay meeting was, there's nobody out there. Only what you believe to be true will you see. So you are constantly creating. And that's what we don't understand. We create this. People can try to find blame in this kind of theory, but it's a locked in thing. You only see what you believe to be true. You change those beliefs and you will change what you see in the world. It works exactly like that. What are you going to focus on? So if you don't know what you're focusing on, look at your life, look at your furniture, look at where you live, your car, the people those are the things you believe to be true.
I remember hearing something about, sorry to interrupt you. I thought you were pausing, but I remember hearing something recently about if you want to be in a different level in your life, like let's say we want to be more financially sound, you look to like the 6 people that surround you and see what kind of level they are, and not that you're going to judge them, but it gives you a mirror of where you are. So
exactly, that's what people do. They mirror to you exactly who you are being at that time. Life is just one huge mirror, that tells you here's where you are right now. And when things begin to shift, it's because you've shifted your focus, and are seeing different things. But it's always about you. It's always about you. It's never about the other person. It's about you and where you're coming from, and how you can see, and how you get programmed, and how you've allowed yourself to become programmed. It's back to the women. How did we get programmed that we were weak and could be used in that way? We go out expecting it, really, to be honest with you. There's an expectation of this happening. When you stop expecting it, it won't happen. So we have to get to the point where we know that it's all made up. We really make it all up. We image it in. It's our imagination. Every situation. I remember going somewhere to dinner with someone, and I decided I was going to have the best time with anybody else at this party. I didn't care if I was older than everybody, younger than everybody. I was going to have a good time, and I'm telling you, it was the most incredibly good time. And a friend went with me, and she hated every moment of where we were. But I realized that was her attitude about stuff usually. is being unhappy. You have to decide, how am I going to feel? How do I want to feel? And then find a feeling that matches that from your past experience or whatever, and begin to allow that feeling to fill you. You know, they talk about the emotions. The emotions tell the truth of your being. They'll tell you exactly where you are. So you have to really decide how am I going to be in this life, because you get to make it up.
Yeah, so it's taking the courage to stand up like the women are doing, and the men too, because men get equally abused, you know, in all walks of life. Taking that hard look at yourself in the mirror and taking responsibility, which is always a hard one. Speaking of the mirror exercise, I just want to invite the listeners to go to Gwen.live and look under the series. It's placed in a couple different pages on Gwen.live. It's a short video that we did called Finding Gwen, which is going to be turning into a show in 2018. Hopefully, we're working on that. And Terrah and her daughter, Remington, and 17 women came from all walks of life, from ages 12 all the way up, from different cultures. And we did a mirror exercise. And we put it to a beautiful song called No One Like You by Magnolia Memoir. And it's a very moving piece. And it just kind of reflects, pun intended, what we've been talking about today. We have to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to bring on the amazing, vivacious Chef Babette. She's going to talk all about her life and balancing the soul and the mind and the body. And I think we need to talk a little bit about her recipes, because I've had her food, and oh, yum, oh my gosh.
So we'll be right back.
There are self-help seminars costing thousands of dollars guaranteeing miraculous transformations. There are compelling speakers and life-changing weekend experiences where you can walk on fire. They all deliver revelations that guarantee you'll come back for the more expensive revelations filled with even greater wonder next month on Fiji. We get addicted to positive, heartfelt, expensive theater. What we really need is a jumpstart, an awakening, someone who can give us a reminder that everything we need lies within. Through inspiration and practical knowledge, Dorothy Donahue helps people get grounded and motivated, inspired and energized. It's not just words and affirmations and the power of intention. It's a mindset brought about by a tangible, transcendental experience, an audio-visual, physical, spiritual experience that helps us realize we transform ourselves. We get tools to become the conscious co-creators of lives of unlimited potential. Find out more. Go to DorothyDonahue.com.
And welcome back to Gwen Talks Radio. This is your host, Tess Cacciatore. I can barely put words together because I am so excited about this show. I've been wanting to have this conversation because almost every day, I talk to Terrah probably 3 times a day, but almost every day we're talking about how to get through these nooks and crannies of life and doing that mirror thing, which is really hard. And I've been able to see so many things through this process. And I really encourage you guys to look for Connecting the Dots, look for Linda Logan and all the work she does, because we're going to even expand it even further. And I'm going to let Terrah again introduce Chef Babette, because I met her through Terrah, and oh my God, this is a pun. She's so delicious. So go ahead, Terrah.
All righty. So next coming up is Chef Babette. She is co-owner of Stuff I Eat Restaurant in Inglewood, vegan restaurant. And one of the reasons why I wanted her on the show was, number one, she could share a little bit, if she chooses, about her journey with, you know, moving beyond her blueprint in the physical abuse area. However, also because she's done this shift in the food, the shift in the exercise. She's 67 years old. She's in great shape. You know.
Oh my God! Don't even talk about great shape. She's like a goddess extraordinaire.
But there's still so much more, even with all of that people, you know, you have to work through. And she can share some of that with you. So come on in, Babette.
Hey, guys. Thank you so very much. I've really totally enjoyed listening in. And I can just identify with so much of what's been said, what's been stated, some of the Terrah, some of what you shared. And so to just, you already know some of the things that I do the chefing thing and I work out. That's great. But when it comes to, let's start with where I am right now. Let's just start right now. I am pretty much, I'd say I'm about 70% most days. I have the challenges of the business. I'm responsible to make sure that this food is correct. I have so many different relationships. My husband, that relationship and that energy, coworkers, and people that have a say-so in what it is that I do, and my personal relationships with my family. All of that, I have to pretty much juggle, if you will. But there have recently, I have had to sit back and just take a mirror, just sit in the mirror. I used to punish my daughter. She was always looking at herself in the mirror. So sometimes I would be like, I am so tired of you looking at yourself in the mirror. I'm talking to her and her eyes are shifting to the mirror. I'd make her stand in front of a mirror and just look at herself. But I thought maybe this would be a great exercise for my ass because I needed some reflection. Anyway, so I'm on the journey to make some very life-changing decisions because of an inability to communicate with people in my human experience, my very close experience. And so in looking in the mirror, I understood that I needed to figure out, and Linda, you hit on this, well, all of you did. What is important? What is the most important thing right now in your experience? I had to answer that question. I had to be honest with that. And so once I was given information, I'm going to make this change in my life, and I'm given some food for thought. And I look at the food for thought, and one of the most important things in my experience in this journey right now, I'd have to get rid of. Well, I ain't ready to do that. So I need to take a look at why I am feeding in to this negativity, and I own it every day. Every day when I go to work, I know it's going to be good when I first get in there because I got to go really early in the morning. But then as soon as this other energy enters into my space, then my guard is up and my ego is on the shoulder going, you don't have to take that. You don't have to take nothing. You've been at work since 3 a.m.
How do you get up at 3? I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you're a bundle of energy and you're cooking all this beautiful, delicious vegan food. You are so amazing.
But the point is, it's not the excuse. Mm-hmm. It's not reason that I begin to behave the way that I do and that I put the armor on as soon as the energy enters into my space, my immediate space. And so then yes.
It's habit.
I understand. So the point is, as I'm looking in this mirror and as I'm answering this question, I begin to realize it's time for you to calm down. Come on. Take a deep breath. You've been with somebody for 27 years. You know who this person is. You've been knowing since the first date. Since the very first date you knew. And you made the decision. Are you really abused? Or are you both abusive? And so in answering that question, I understood this is important to me. I cannot ask somebody to change to be something different from me, but I can change me. And so now I am going to work on changing me. I'm not going outside of me. I'm staying within me. And so that is what each and every moment I breathe is working on making the necessary changes so that I keep that in my head that is important to me. And all the stuff that ain't important, I have to move that to the side. I make it unimportant. So anyway, that was all I wanted to say.
You know what? I just want to say something to that, to tie all the pieces together. You know, when people look at, and not that they don't do it with me or don't do it with you, Linda, but because Babette, you are kind of in the public's eye as this person who's, you know, together. They look at the external, they look at the healthiness, they look at your personality, and they don't realize there's still another component that is being worked on. And that so many people are dealing and doing the same thing. There's those components that get shoved underneath that we don't really deal with or don't know how to deal with it. So the facade, the look of the package looks excellent. But even in your look of a package, Babette, even in the look of the package, there's these damaged fragments of something that has been, the blueprint has been laid a certain way for that particular area. And until you acknowledge that this is my blueprint for that area, I need to fix that blueprint in order. So now when you're looking at this external thing, the internal thing is also functioning and working well and for myself. You know,
Right. And I
think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hmm?
Go ahead.
I just think that, you know, as we're striving to whatever area of life that we're trying to get better, we really are different components of this whole piece. And that's why even in my book, you know, it talks about detoxing your closet. You don't just, you know, when my closet's messy, when my car's messy, it's telling me where my mind is. It's not a separate, you know, one is not separate of the other. If I can go and look in a disheveled closet and I'm cool with that, then there's a part of me that's has not cleaned house totally. You know, and I'm not saying it's got to be immaculate. I'm just saying when there's muck and clutter, there's muck and clutter.
Exactly.
But what it sounded like to me, Babette, and I've only met you a couple of times, and I haven't seen you since, you know, we were all together with Linda and all of that. But what it sounds like to me, and what I want to take a stand, because I didn't know where you were going to go, and it feels like that you're putting a stake in the ground, you know, and announcing to us women on the phone that you're going to do things differently from. I just felt like it was a big energetic shift coming from you, which is what this show is about. It's about to reveal and heal.
Exactly. because I'm responsible for my happiness or unhappiness. I can't put that responsibility on anyone outside of myself. That I determine that. I determine that. And I determine what is going to be important, and I determine what is not important. You understand? I don't have to be involved with everything that comes out of a person's mouth. It's not always important for me to do that. Or I become as petty as I believe it is for them to always have something coming out of their mouth. I'm exactly the same. So there is the mirror image. You understand? So I have to recognize that to be better and to be happier and to be wholesome. When I have people saying to me, "You're such an inspiration," I have to say to them, "Oh, but you are an inspiration." Because as I inspire you, you inspire me as well. Because I'm not 100. I'm like everybody else. I am everybody else. So each step by step, as you learn, this feels this way when I think like this. And when I'm over here, my goodness, it feels this way. Which way do you like best? That's the lesson I always taught my daughter. And so, come on now, I am the teacher. So I kind of have to, I had to step back and because I'm feeling good right now. I'm feeling really, really great. I'm in a great
You sound great
right now. But it's moment by moment. And that is the beauty of this thing called life, because that's the only way you live it any damn way. It's each second at a time. So you have the choice. You have the choice.
Well, it is every second of the day. Last week we had our story of Samantha Chapman, who was forced into sex trafficking by her own biological parents from infancy on. And she called me that night after the show aired, and she said, "Was that me? I sounded so strong." And I feel so empowered. And throughout the arc of this past week, there's just every little moment she'll text me and say, oh, I'm feeling really stressed out or whatever, because it is a moment by moment. It's exercising those muscles, as Terrah was talking about, and as Linda said, to really look in that mirror and take the responsibility. And I feel kind of apprehensive to use that word because there's a whole other topic that we don't have time for today, but we need to all have you back because this topic of the responsibility, the shame and blame, there's a fine razor edge sword of how do we get through that? We have to not take the shame and blame, but we have to take responsibility. So it's still a quagmire that I think is a deeper conversation. Yes.
Could I interject something?
Please. Yes.
I suggest going around in your life and everything you see, you say, that's me. What is it telling me? Mm-hmm. That person is me. What are they telling me about myself? Mm-hmm. The only way we get to see ourselves is that way. So looking in the mirror is one thing, but the mirror is all around you. So the mirror reflects back to you where you are in your thinking and where you are in everything. So that's
so great.
Yes, everyone is a reflection of you. You know, if they're argumentative, there's a part of you that's that way. All of that. Yeah. So it's a matter of doing that.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. And I heard a long time ago, and I think I might have even heard this as growing up, is that if you meet somebody and there's something about their personality that rubs you the wrong way, that you probably have that trait biggest in your life that you don't like about yourself. You know, we are the mirrors in each other. So thank you for that comment. You know, it's such a wonderful, deep conversation to have, because what I love about this show is that it's the intimate conversations. I just am so blessed to have amazing people in my life, and I designate the people because I have so many wonderful female friends, but the men in my life are really amazing as well. So the Gwen Talks Radio is really about cracking open those intimate conversations and standing for one another. And through this one episode is so deep and so juicy. I think people are going to walk away feeling inspired and having so many more questions. So we can always come back to our community and join Gwen, ask questions. We'll all be watching the community grow and all of that stuff. Do you want to just go around the call? Terrah, I can start with you and just tell them where you're going to find your book. Besides, it's going to be on the Gwen.live shopping cart as well, but just
I would you can check out my website, which should be up by the time the book's out. I'm still working on it. TERRAH Bennett BENNETT Smith.com, and it should have directions and all that stuff, but it will definitely be up on the Gwen site. And check out the movie and all that other great stuff.
And all of these websites and all that information, bios and pictures and everything from all the guests will be on the post that'll be going around social media wise. So don't feel like you have to, pull over in your car or get up from bed or whatever to write this down. So Linda, why don't you tell people where we can find you?
Okay, I have a website, LindaLogansLogic.com, which is going up. It's up already, but it needs a lot of work on it right now. And I have a book that's coming out that's being edited now, and it's called Put On Your Thinking Cap. And it's about the brain and how it happens and your senses and your emotions and all of those things and how they interplay. And it has a lot of little vignettes about different people and different events.
Wonderful. And Chef Babette, please tell our listeners where to find you, besides coming to your restaurant.
Yeah, the restaurant is Stuff I Eat, and that's 114 North Market Street in Inglewood, California. And also chefbabette.com. I have a book that's about to go into print, Cash In on Cashews. You can pre-order that if you like. And also I'm on Instagram, Chef Babette, Facebook, and Twitter, Chef Babette. So check me out.
Wow, it's
Thank
so
you,
funny
Steph.
is that...
Thank you so much, Steph.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. It's so funny because all four of us have books that are going on right now. I don't know who's banging about in the background, but please be quiet for just a second because I want to really just acknowledge all of you because we have Connecting the Dots, we have Put on Your Thinking Cap, we have Cash In on Cashews, and my own book, Homeless to the White House, is going to be coming out in March 2018. I'm so excited to have all of you ladies on. This will not be the last time, I can tell you that. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and hear our music inspiration for this day. And it's a song by Alex Nestor called I Am More, which you're going to really love. You can check her music video out on Gwen.live as well. And right after our music inspiration, of course, we always go into our Mind Over Matter Minute, where we encourage everyone to take at least just 1 minute a day to themselves to build in that blueprint, break the patterns, and get into that really deep place of self-love. We'll be right back. And thanks again to my guests.
I've gotta say the words, though every letter hurts, over and over. Will this ever be over? The world is standing there, refusing to be fair, trying to tell me it's over, but I'm not ready to be over. I am more than my looks on my skin. I am more than my triumphs or my sins. I am more than my losses or my wins. I am more. Try to force a see, tell you your fate is real. If you're young or you're older, this time it really is over. But nothing's written yet, the stone has not been set. So I'll continue to soldier until I say it is over. I am more than my looks on my skin. I am more than my triumphs or my sins. Oh, I am more than my losses or my wins. I am more. I'm not saying I'm not afraid, but if failure is hell, then I've been saved. It's time to exercise my faith. What I believe will release, set me free. If I keep on, I've been taught and I've been warned. Lessons come in many different forms. So I smile into the face of storm because I see through the day there's a reason to keep on. Than this vessel I'm in. I am more than the cause that I'm giving. No, no, I am more than any pain has ever been. I am more. I am more.
And now, a Mind Over Matter Minute.
And breathe in and exhale. Taking this time each and every day to have gratitude in our life. Looking at all the corners, the people, the circumstance. It is all a mirror and reflection of our inner truth. Know that you are love. Know that you are light. Know that you are life. Okay, here we go. I certainly hope that the Mind Over Matter Minute means as much to you as to me to take a minute out of each day or each hour and really concentrate on the beauty within. So I want to thank again my guest, Terrah Bennett Smith, with her book, Connecting the Dots, coming out, Linda Logan with Put On Your Thinking Cap, and Chef Babette, Cash In on Cashews. We have many books to promote on Gwen Books today, as well as the Charity Spotlight. We have nomore.org, Gigi's Playhouse, NYC, and Alex Nestor wanted me to do a shout out on Marcel Arian Cancer Foundation. She has a remarkable story as well as a cancer survivor when she was a child. We cannot forget our own nonprofit, gwennetwork.org, transforming lives. So check us out as well. Put your money into a passion, give back to society, donate your time. Look into the mirror, take responsibility for our lives, and know that you are loved. And as always, the world is much better with you in it. Hope you have a beautiful and blessed day ahead, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening. Visit us at gwen.live and join our Gwen community. Share what's on your mind.